Good morning, class. My name is Ms. Cameron, and today we will be learning about comparing numbers using symbols known as less than, greater than, and equal to. Placed in front of you, we have two different groups of an amount of clothespins, and we will be counting them to compare them using those symbols. So in front of you, if you will count how many are in each group, and when you have an answer, please raise your hand, think quietly in your head, and use your partner or your group if you need help. Take just a few seconds. Give an answer? Perfect. That is correct. There are 3 clothespins in each group. We have 1, 2, 3 in this group and 1, 2, 3 in that group. When we have 2 of the same number, like 3 and 3, those are going to be known as equal to. So if you guys recall from last class, we had 3 symbols that are written right here. We have greater than, less than, and equal to that I'm going to write a little bit bigger. We're going to go over them again. Over here we have our greater than symbol. Greater than is used for numbers that can also be known as bigger numbers. When I put underneath it bigger, this is a way for you to remember if greater than is a little hard for you to understand or for you to remember and hold on to. Bigger is another way to say that. Next we have our less than symbol. Almost exactly the same as this one, you just flip it around. On this one we have less than. This is called our less than symbol. Less than symbol, what do we think that means? If this one means bigger, what would this one be? Perfect, that one means smaller. These are, if you recall from English, these words are called synonyms and can be used as ways to remember this word right here. As long as you remember it's either greater than or bigger, less than or smaller, and we have our last one, which is our equal sign. Our equal, we call this equal to. Equal to is going to mean the same. This one is a great example of our clothespins. When we counted them, we had 3 clothespins and 3 clothespins, which are the same. So the symbol that would go in the middle of this would be an equal sign. We are going to visualize something for me in your head. This is a great way to remember greater than. Think of an alligator. Alligators are big, they eat lots of food, and they want a lot of food, right? So when you think of an alligator, kind of looks like the symbols, doesn't it? And think of a papa alligator going for food. He is going to want a big amount of food, right? So he's going to go towards the bigger number. And if it's not big enough, then I'll go towards the other one. Now we are going to watch a video, and I want you to follow along with your movements. Please pay close attention, and we're going to work some out on our own. Perfect, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it gave you a great visual to see how we do this. So we're going to do a few examples. I'm going to write them underneath the symbols so we can work on these before we start our assignment today with your partners. First one, I'm going to start right here, number 1. These could be any of them. They don't necessarily correlate with the one under them, but pay close attention to the numbers, and we are going to fill in the blanks. First number we're going to have is 56. 56 is a pretty big number. Then we're going to have 21. In comparison to 56, 21 is bigger or smaller? That's right, smaller. So is Daddy Alligator going to face towards the 21, or is he going to face towards the 56? Perfect, 56. He is going to face towards the 56. And a way that you can do is circle this. That'll help you see and recognize the symbol. Perfect, next we'll do number 2. It'll be hard for me to write a little bit, but hopefully you guys can see this. 2, we're going to do 112. And These are bigger numbers, so pay close attention. We have 112 and 314. Is our symbol going to be facing that way, or is the alligator mouth going to be facing towards me? Perfect. Daddy alligator is going to be facing this way, and when it's facing this way, what do we call that? Good job, less than. So this number right here, 112, is bigger or smaller than 314? Smaller, good job. And like we did in the beginning with our clothespins, I'll use as an example just so you can remember it. We had 3 and 3. Are those greater than, less than, or equal to? Good job, equal to. Remember, if you'd like to circle your symbol, you can. That'll help you see it, visualize it, and it stand out to you. Next, we're going to learn about another way we can do it using the place value chart.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the place value chart that was talked about in the video that we can use to compare two numbers to determine if one is greater than, less than, or if the two numbers are equal to one another. So here on the board, I have drawn a place value chart. You have the same place value chart in front of you on the handout provided. So here I have the 100,000, 10,000, 1,000, hundreds, tens, and ones place. And remember, we read the place value chart from left to the right. And you can use that as a reference throughout the activity. Remember, we read the place value chart from the left to the right. So I'm going to go ahead and think of two numbers, and we are going to use the place value chart to compare. So I've got 843, and I've got 172. So let's go ahead and follow along on the worksheet in front of you and fill this in on the place value chart. So I have 843, and then we've got 172. To compare these numbers, we're going to look at the hundreds place. Here we have an 8, and down here we have a 1. Because 8 is greater than 1, the number 843 is greater than 172. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that greater than symbol with my alligator mouth pointing towards the larger number, 843. So we would read this, 843 is greater than 172. Let's try another set of numbers and see if we can't compare those as well. All right, so here I've written two more numbers, another set right here. So let's go ahead and fill this in on our place value chart and see if we can compare and determine which number is greater than, less than, or if they are equal to one another. So I have 2,756. And my next number, I have 3,874. Let's take a look at the thousands place right here, 1,000. So in this space, I have 2. And for this number, I have a 3. Looking at these two numbers, which one is greater? You're right, 3. Therefore, 2,756 is less than, so I'm going to have my alligator mouth pointing the other direction, 3,874, right? So 2,756 is less than 3,874. Let's try another example. All right, so here I've written two more numbers. Go ahead and jot those down. I have 64,142. Over here, 64,142. Let's go ahead and fill in this place value chart and see how these numbers compare. So here I've got 64,142. And down below, I'm going to fill in that second number too, 64,142. By looking at the place value chart, we can see that it has the same value in each place. So we can determine that these two numbers are equal to one another. 64,142 is equal to 64,142. Let's try one more example before we start our activity. So I'm going to give you two more numbers and we're going to fill them in and see if we can't compare and see if one is greater than, less than, or if they are equal to one another. Here's my first number. Here is my second. Go ahead and fill it in as I'm writing it on your handout. So here I have 74,678 and I have 71,231. Let's go ahead and fill those in and see if we can't compare. So I have 74,678 and I have 71,000, I apologize, 71,231. So by looking at these numbers, we're going to start at the tens place, the 10,000s place, and we have the same number. So what we do next is we're going to look at the 1,000s place and see if we can't determine which one is greater or less than in this place value. So because 4 is greater than 1, this number right here is greater. 74,678 is greater than 71,231. So remember, I want my alligator mouth pointing to the larger number. So it reads 74,678 is greater than 71,231. All right, so now that you've been able to follow along and I feel that you have a good concept of comparing numbers to determine which one is greater than, less than, or if they are equal numbers, I'm going to break you up into groups of 2 and we are going to do an activity. So you are going to work with your desk partner in groups of 2 and I'm going to provide you with an envelope. In the envelope, there will be whole numbers on a piece of paper from 1 up to 100,000. You will also have in the envelope a greater than, less than, and equal to sign. On your desk, you will also have one sheet between the 2 partners, a comparison chart. Let's take a look. So this is what your comparison chart will look like that you are working with your partner during this activity on. You are going to take turns with your partner drawing one slip of paper with a whole number, remember 1 up to 100,000 on it, and write it down in the blank provided. The second partner will draw another slip of paper with a number on it and fill it in this blank provided. So let's do an example. For instance, I draw 423 and my partner draws 124. So I will fill in on partner 1 my number that I've drawn, 423, and they will fill in on this same sheet of paper in their blank, partner 2 column, 124, the number they have drawn. Then we as a group will work together and determine which number is greater than, less than, or if they are equal to one another. So you should be using your newly acquired vocab using greater than, less than, or equal to, and your alligator trick to determine which number is greater than, less than, or if they're equal. So because I know that 423 is greater than 124, I'm going to draw the greater than symbol pointing towards 423. So now you are going to try to participate in this activity with your partner, and I will be walking around, and I want to hear discussion on what your reasoning is to determine whether your number is greater than, less than, or equal to your partner's. Feel free, if you have any questions, raise your hand. I'll be coming around and I will help you if you need any assistance. Be sure to use your alligator trick and your place value chart handout as references to help you during this activity.